channel. I hope everyone is doing well. So today's video is very special and close to my heart because I made this beautiful cake for my mother-in-law on her birthday. So whenever we make something with our own hands for someone we love, it always feels extra meaningful, and this cake was exactly that for me. It was not just about baking a dessert, it was about putting love, care, effort, and emotion into something that could make her smile on her special day. So in this video, I am actually taking you through the full journey of making this cake from start to finish. You will see every step, every little details, and all the love that went into it. And if you want to make this cake yourself, I will share the full recipe in the description box below, so please check it once. So basically, birthday cakes are never just cakes for me. They carry emotion, they carry thoughtfulness, they carry memories, and when that cake is for someone in the family, it becomes even more special. I wanted this one actually to look beautiful, taste delicious, and most importantly feel personal. I wanted my mother-in-law to feel loved, valued, and celebrated. Sometimes we cannot express everything in words, but food has its own language. So a homemade cake says so much without saying anything at all. It says like, I thought of you. It says you matter to me. And it also says your day is worth making special. So I started by getting all my ingredients together and preparing everything nicely before beginning. I always feel that baking becomes much more enjoyable when everything is measured, ready, and organized. It makes the whole process smoother and less stressful, especially when you are making something for a special occasions. When I began this cake, I already had that excitement in my heart, imagining how the final result would look and how happy everyone would be when the cake was brought out. That feeling always motivates me through the process, because even though baking takes time, the joy at the end make it completely worth it. So at the beginning, everything is just a separate ingredients: flour, sugar, butter, chocolate, cream, and little details here and there. But there is the magic of baking. Ordinary ingredients come together and slowly become something beautiful. I really enjoyed that transformation every single time. I think one of the nicest thing about homemade baking is that it reminds us that beautiful things take patience. They do not happen instantly. They happen step by step, and that is what makes them feel so rewarding when they finally come together. As I moved into preparing the batter, I was beginning with careful with every step. I always try to be gentle and patient while making cakes, because even small things matter a lot. The texture, the consistency, the mixing, the timing, all of it works together to create the final result. And while I was doing all of this, I kept thinking about the occasions. Birthdays are such a beautiful reminders that life itself is a gift. They give us a chance to pause, celebrate someone, and show appreciation for their presence in our lives. That thought made this whole process feel even warmer and more joyful. Now, as the cake batter started coming together, it already looked rich and promising. This is one of those moments in baking that always feels satisfying to me. When the mixture becomes smooth and everything begins to blend perfectly, you can almost start imagining the final cake already. I always love that stage because the excitement starts building. The cake is still not baked, not assembled, not decorated, but you already know something special is being created. It is such a comforting feeling, especially when the kitchen starts to smell sweet and warm. Once the batter was ready, I poured it into the mold carefully and made sure everything was even. I wanted the cake to bake as nicely as possible because this was going to be the base of the whole final design. At this moment, I always feel a mix of nervousness and excitement because once it goes into the oven, the real transformation begins. Baking at home has such a different feeling compared to buying something from outside. There is warmth in it, there is care in it, there is effort in every step, and this is why homemade cake always have a very special place in my heart. So while the cake was baking, I started preparing for the next step. I like to use the baking time wisely because there are always many things like little things to do afterward. The filling, the frosting, the layering, the decoration, each part needs attention. And of course, so when the cake is in the oven, the whole house slowly fills with that amazing smell. This is honestly one of my favorite parts. The smell of a cake baking at home instantly changes the mood of the entire space. It makes everything feel cozy, festive, and happy. After some time, the cake was ready, and this is always such a satisfying moment. Seeing the cake come out of the oven after waiting patiently always feels rewarding. It is like finally seeing the first big result of all the work you just put in. At this stage, even though the cake already looks good, I remind myself not to rush. Cooling is important always. Patience is important because if you try to move too fast in baking, the final result can suffer. So I let the cake rest and cool properly before doing anything else. So this is the part of where patience really matters. No matter how excited I am, I know the cake needs time to cool completely before I can move on. If the cake is still warm, the frosting can melt, the layers can shift, and the decoration can become messy. So waiting is always worth it. And during the waiting time, I kept thinking about how I wanted to finish like a cake to look. I wanted it to feel elegant, soft, rich, and celebration worthy, obviously. Something that would look beautiful on the table and make the birthday feel even more special. Once the cake had cooled properly, it was actually time to move on to the next stage. And this is where the cake really starts to come alive because no matter how good the sponge is, it is the filling and frosting that begin to give the cake its character. So for this cake, I wanted every layer to feel rich and balanced. I wanted the flavor to come through beautifully in every bite, and I also wanted the outside to have a lovely finished look. This is the stage where creativity and patience go hand in hand. Now I started working on the frosting and filling, and this part always makes me happy because it feels like the personality of the cake is being created. The sponge is the heart, but the frosting and decoration are what to give it its final expression. I enjoy this part so much because it is both technical and creative. You have to think about texture, consistency, and structure, but you also get to be very artistic, and that combination is what makes cake making so enjoyable for me. As I prepared each component, I was making sure everything was just right before assembling the cake. I always believe that rushing during layering can affect the whole final look. So I try to make my time and enjoy the process instead of hurrying through it. And honestly, I think this is a good lesson every outside baking. Good things often need time. The more love and patience you put into something, the more beautiful it becomes. This is definitely true with cakes and maybe with many things in our life too. Now it was time to start assembling. This is one of the most exciting stage for me because all the separate pieces begin to come together. What was once just batter, baked layers, cream, and a decoration now starts becoming an actual cake. I carefully placed the layers, added the fillings, and worked to keep everything even and neat. I always want the inside to look just beautiful as the outside. There is something so satisfying about the cutting a cake later and seeing all those lovely layers sitting perfectly together. Now come to the making the cream and all. I actually never prefer to use whipping cream. I always make my buttercream for my frosting and decoration. So if anyone would like to go for whipping cream, please go for it. But for me, buttercream actually make the cake more rich and tasty. So I am always using buttercream on my cake frosting. So at this point, I was really starting to imagine the final reveal. Every time I make a cake for someone special, I picture that first reaction. The smile, the surprise, the happiness. That moment is always one of the most rewarding parts because no matter how much effort goes into making it, once you see that it made someone feel loved, all the work becomes worth it instantly. That is the beauty of a homemade food. It creates emotional moments, not just tasty ones. Now the cake was becoming more structured and more complete. Layer by layer, it started to take on the final shape. I made sure everything was balanced properly so the cake would not only look beautiful but also slice nicely later. So this stage can take a bit of extra care, but I truly enjoy it. I like being patience in that stage, and I like seeing the cake slowly become what I imagined in my mind from the beginning. It always feels like bringing an idea to life. And then came to the frosting stage, which is always one of my favorite parts. Once the frosting begins to go on, the cake suddenly changes. It goes from looking like a baking project to looking like an actual celebration cake. I wanted the frosting to look smooth, rich, and elegant. Something simple but beautiful. Something that would fit the occasion and still feel homemade and heartfelt. Sometimes the most meaningful cakes are not the fanciest ones. They're the ones made with genuine care. So as I continued decorating, I kept thinking about the purpose behind the cake. It was for my mother-in-law's birthday, and that made every little detail feel more important. I was not just decorating a dessert, I was preparing something for someone important in the family, and that made the process feel extra special. I believe small gestures often carry the deepest meaning. A homemade cake may look like a simple gift, but in reality, it actually carries time, thought, love, and effort, and those things can be felt. Now, the decoration was starting to come together more and more beautifully. This is usually the stage where I start feeling both focused and excited because I know the final result is close. Every little touch matters now. Every finishing details adds to the beauty of the final cake. Sorry, I always try to make birthday cakes look joyful and celebratory. I want them to instantly give that feeling of occasion. When someone sees the cake, I want them to feel happiness even before taking the first bite. This whole process reminded me once again why I enjoy baking so much. It is not only about recipes or measurement, it is also about emotion. It is about creating something with our own hands that can become part of someone's memory. Years later, people may not remember every detail of the day, but they often remember the feeling, they remember the warmth, they remember the love, and food, especially homemade food, has a beautiful way of becoming part of those memories. As I kept going, the cake became more polished and more complete. I was trying to keep the final look elegant and graceful while still letting it feel warm and homemade. I did not want it to feel too stiff or too normal. I wanted it to feel made with heart, and I think that the balance is something I always look for when making cakes for family. I wanted them to look special enough for a celebration, but still personal enough to feel full of love. At this point, I could already tell that the cake was turning out beautifully, and that made me so happy. So when there is always a special kind of joy when the final results start matching what you imagined in your mind. Not everything goes perfectly every time, but when a cake begins coming together well, it actually feels so rewarding. I also think imperfections in homemade baking are part of the beauty. They remind us that a real person made this by hand with care, not a machine, and that makes it even more precious. Now the cake was almost ready, and this is one of the most exciting moments in the entire process. After all the mixing, baking, cooling, frosting, and decorating, seeing everything finally come together feels incredibly satisfying. It is almost like the cake has its own little story. It started with simple ingredients and slowly become something worthy of a birthday celebration. And I truly love that journey every single time I bake. As I looked at the cake, I felt genuinely happy and grateful. Happy because it turned out beautifully, and gratefully because I had the chance to make something special for someone in that family. That feelings actually means a lot to me. Sometimes the most meaningful gifts are not the biggest or the most expensive ones. Sometimes they are the ones made quietly with your own time and effort. A homemade cake can say so much. It can carry affection, gratitude, and celebration all together. And now, finally, my decoration is ready. The cake is ready. Seeing the finished look was such a lovely moment for me. I wanted it to feel festive, elegant, and full of love. And I was truly happy how it turned out. More than anything, I hoped my mother in law would feel like special when she saw it, and she was actually. So, that was the whole purpose behind making this cake, not just to make something sweet, but obviously to make her day sweeter. So, my mother in law is a vegetarian, so I did not use any egg on this cake. So, it's a eggless ruffle cake. So, that's why if anyone wants to try this cake in home, please feel free to make this. And obviously, if anyone will be having any questions about the cake making, feel free to just drop a comments. I'd love to reply. So now come back again to that recipe. This cake was made from my heart, and I think that that was actually what makes homemade baking so meaningful. When we bake for people we love, we are not just giving them food, we are actually giving them time, care, intention, and a little part of ourselves. So this is why I always say homemade food has a different kind of beauty. It may not always be perfect in the way a bakery product is perfect, but it has its own soul, and that soul can be felt in every bite. As I was finishing the final touches on this cake, I honestly felt so happy looking at how everything was coming together. Every step from the very beginning until this moment felt meaningful to me. It is always such a satisfying feeling when something you imagined in your heart slowly becomes real in front of your eyes. What makes this even more special is knowing that this cake was not made for just any occasion. It was made for someone very dear in the family, for her birthday, for a moment that we all wanted to make beautiful and memorable. And this is why I wanted to put my full care into every single step. Sometimes people think a cake is just a dessert on the table, but I truly feel it can be much more than that. A cake can carry emotion, it can carry effort, it can carry love. When you bake for someone with genuine affection, I believe that the feeling somehow becomes the part of what you are making. While decorating the cake, I was also thinking about how beautiful family moments are. Life gets busy, everyone has so much going on, and days passes very quickly, but birthdays and celebration gives us a chance to pause, come together, and make someone feel appreciated. Those little moments matter so much, and honestly, this is one of the reasons I love baking so much. It gives me a way to express love in a simple but in a meaningful form. Not everything has to be grand or expensive to be special. sometimes something made quietly at home with your own hands and your own heart can become the most meaningful thing of all. I also felt that homemade cakes have their own beauty that is very hard to replace. Even if they are not perfectly shaped like a bakery cake, they have a warmth in them. They feel personal, they feel real, and that is exactly what I love. They are full of character, and every little details tells a story. This cake especially was a very emotional one for me because I kept imagining the smile on my mother-in-law's face when she would see it. That thought stayed with me though through the whole process. It made me more careful, more excited, and even more connected to what I was making. I was always think that food prepared for loved ones carries a different kind of energy. It is not just made with ingredients, it is made with intention, and intention matters. Whether it is a simple meal, a dessert, or a birthday cake, when it is made with love, people can feel it. So, and I think this is something many of us can relate to. There is a joy in creating, there is joy in giving, there is a joy in seeing someone happy because of something made yourself. That kind of happiness is simple. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys like my recipe, please feel free to share and subscribe to my channel. And if anyone wants to bake the cake in their home, please feel free to do that as well. So, and let me know in the comment box if anyone tried it at home. I would love to see your results as well. So until then, bye bye, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye, and thank you so much for watching.